Welcome to another episode of Gutty Cars. Today we're doing something a wee bit different. We've got a really cool old Peugeot 205 1.8 diesel. No turbo, just normally aspirated XUD, and we're going to drive it up to Aberdeen to put it on a boat to Shetland for a bloke I've never met. What can I say? This job sort of leads you into odd things. Anyway, without further ado, I'll allow the XUD to make itself known, give it a wee preheat and see how she sounds. Light goes out. Yeah, there we go. That's actually quite alarming, isn't it? It's quieter than my 306 was. Anyway, let's get moving because we've got a few miles to cover today. So, how did I end up in this mess? Well, there's a certain forum I frequent which occasionally disposes of motor vehicles in slightly unorthodox ways. The outcome of this was one gentleman who resides in Shetland managed to win himself this 205. However, it was actually based up in Tyne-and-Wear, sort of North Shields kind of area. So what had to happen was it had to get all the way north. The first part of the run was completed by Mike. He brought it up on Friday evening and I picked it up from him just outside of Glasgow. Good bloke, his missus is nice too, can't really complain, gave me plenty of hints and tips like make sure you start the wipers before you put the scoosher on, otherwise it just hits the wipers and runs down the bonnet. But to be honest with you, that's pretty much the only fault I've found in this vehicle. Even the brakes are reasonable. So yes, today we're running it all the way up to Aberdeen to put it on a boat to go up to Shetland. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see just how far that goes. At the moment I'm currently heading south. Yes, I know, to go and pick up my dad so that we can head up to Aberdeen together and maybe go for a couple of beers after we've dropped the car off. I'll not post any videos of that for the avoidance of any accusations of guilt should it come to a court of law. Anyway, what's this wee 205 like to drive? Well, it's what you could probably describe as basic. The instrument layout is really clear and plain. Your rev counter at the moment is reading 10:15, and beyond that there's pretty much no instrumentation. Don't have a temperature gauge. We've got a wee light that comes on to tell you it's too late. We've got a handbrake light, one ominously marked stop, an oil pressure light and a battery charge light. That's pretty much it. There we go. So, nice clear simple instrumentation. The steering wheel is beautifully designed so you can see all of the instrumentation all of the time. Please take note, Peugeot with your 2008, which was utter gash in that area. The heater controls etc are laid out nice and simply, so can't really complain at that. The only issue I do have is the fact that I've pretty much put my back out trying to put the stereo on, because it seems to be part of the pedal box as far as I can ascertain. Now, in a 205 GTI that might not be a problem, because you'd have a rather rotty little petrol number under the bonnet to keep yourself entertained with thoroughly. However, in an XUD, it's one of those engines that's probably the less heard the better, especially in its NA form when it's not got that joy of turbo coming in. But anyway, what's it actually like to drive? Well, we've got no power steering, so I'm getting my sweat on at parking speeds. However, that does mean you get a lovely direct feel for what the car's doing all the time. The front wheels are constantly in communication with you. It couldn't be much further from the Vectra in that respect. The information that's fed back to you is really useful and really impressive. It does feel very front heavy with the diesel engine in it, which I reckon if you were to be really spirited would only bring out the best of the 205, which is that wondrous lift off oversteer. given it's not my car, I don't intend to do that today. So if you do see any sort of sideways movement in the video, please be aware it's entirely unintentional. Now the 205 is a classic example of what the French used to do oh so well. It's a small, simple, basic car that's remarkably comfortable for its size, yet also pleasant to drive. This particular example, despite having 167,000 miles on the clock, is absolutely great. It handles beautifully, it's nice and direct, the suspension is very comfortable and compliant. I would go as far as to say that the ride on this vehicle is better than the ride on my Vectra, even though the Vectra is 10 years newer and has about 70,000 miles less on it. I don't know if it's had components replaced, but obviously they got the original calculations when they were setting this up pretty much bang on. You can throw it about with a bit of Gallic flair, have absolutely no issues at all with it, or you can just sit in the inside lane nursing along at 60, not troubled at all by any ruts or potholes. Excuse me, we're just about to join the motorway, so you get the glory of a full bore third gear entrance. Don't worry, it'll not detach your retinas. Here we go, that's it. And that's 40, 45, 50. Oh, we're almost on cam. 55, 60. Yeah, we'll put it in fast now. And merge. There we go. So we're just sitting at about 60. I say at because the speedo really gives you an indicative speed. It's kind of like when you ask someone in France a question and all you get back is "Off." That's probably how accurate the speedo is. I really should check that on my phone because no doubt I'll have average speed camera sections coming up. This VXUD isn't really a powerhouse. It's got 60 brake horsepower, or at least it had when it left the factory all those years ago. However, it must be said, the gear ratios are pretty well matched, and to be honest with you, with 860 kilos without me in it to pull along, it's not particularly stressed. It also seems to be remarkably frugal based on the fact that I'm showing 3/4 of a tank at the moment, and I know it has come up from the sort of Durham area last night and had nothing put in it. So what can I say? It's comfortable, it's frugal, it's cool, and it's remarkably easy to maintain. An ideal daily beater, if you will. I would probably advise getting one whilst there's still peanuts. But anyway, I'm going to crack on with heading south to go north. I'll see you later. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.